We next had Hulk Hogan getting interviewed by Vince. And, Hulk said to people in the gym were saying, see you later, and this was going to be his last ride. And Hulk said that it was going to be the time for Andre to face the truth tonight. He told Andre that he's going to have to beat every little Hulkster in the world to beat him. Johnny V was with the Dream Team, and they did a quick promo. Johnny V said, the Rougeos are going to go down the drain. Parlez-vous, scrambled eggs, Rougeau brothers. Stupid, but I don't know. I was amused. All right, we had the Rougeau brothers versus the Dream Team. This one was really thrown together. I don't even think they really mentioned it aside from like a WrestleMania report leading up to it. No real storyline or anything, but I mean, this was mostly for to build Brutus the Barber Beefcake into a face. On a recent episode of Primetime, he got his hair cut by Adrian Adonis, and he was all mad, and it was tons of confusion. So obviously something was going on there, and that was kind of the story here. The Dream Team got the win here when Dino Bravo interfered and hit a flying knee. Afterwards, Brutus was upset about how they won, and the Dream Team walked out on him, and they argued. The match was short, but it was pretty good. Raymond threw a really nice side kick, and the Rougeau's finisher was really cool. Jacques always got some really nice air on that one. Not too much else really going on though. Just way too quick. So that's pretty much how it goes. We next had a hair match and a retirement match at the same time with Roddy Piper versus adorable Adrian Adonis. As I mentioned earlier, Adrian Adonis cut some hair in a match that involved Brutus, and he ended up cutting Brutus's hair. And Piper was getting ready to go to Hollywood to do some Hollywood movies and stuff. So this was kind of his retirement, but it actually really wasn't much of one at all because he came back less than about a year and a half later. Piper ended up winning this one with the sleeper. Brutus Beefcake jumped in near the end to wake up Piper from Adrian's sleeper and to cement his face turn. This was a really good match. I didn't remember liking it so much when I watched it years ago, but man, I really got into this one. They brawled hard here, and Jimmy Hart got involved a lot too. But Jimmy Hart knew his role. He took tons of bumps, and he really got tossed around, and he really made the match, I thought. They started off with punches and exchanging belt shots, and then that's when Jimmy got involved. Piper shaked them off, but he took a good night Irene sleeper from Adrian, and he was actually pretty much all out. But the ref dropped his hand two times, and Adrian let go before the third, so Piper was still in it. Piper then made the 3 count. Brutus came in and he woke up Piper, and then Piper came back and got the win. Um, like I said, this was a good match. The crowd was really into it, and they brought the fight. It was pretty exciting, and probably the best match I've seen so far from 1987 WAF. And I gave it 3.5 stars, so I really like this. They had intermission. Jesse was introduced in the ring for absolutely no reason whatsoever, but hey, you're in front of 93,000 fans, ham it up. We had the Hart Foundation, Danny Davis, and Jimmy Hart do a quick promo. And Jimmy Hart basically just called the Bulldogs crybabies, and Danny Davis was threatening to slap the Bulldogs all up. All right, and of course, that led to the Hart Foundation and Danny Davis versus the British Bulldogs and Tito Santana. If you hadn't seen much WWF from this time, you would honest to God think like Danny Davis was the biggest heel in the world at the moment because they mentioned him so much. He was on every show, just talking about him, how he screwed the Bulldogs out of the tag titles, and now he cost Tito the IC title. So I mean, you really couldn't get away. It was just every show. So yeah, I guess this was supposed to be a payoff, but it really didn't amount to that because Danny Davis ended up getting the win here. He hit a megaphone shot, I think, on Davey Boy, and he took the pin. This was fun. Not great, but fun. They did a lot of brawling, and the Faces really beat up on Davis to get some revenge. And then another brawl broke out, and that's when Davis got the megaphone shot in. The crowd was pretty amped for this one, and I liked it. It wasn't a classic, but it was pretty good. I also did like Mary Hart and Bob Uecker on commentary here. Mary Hart asked if the Hart Foundation worked out in their pink get-ups in the gym, and Carilla said yes. And Euchre was pretty funny too. So they were pretty good here. Heenan and Andre did a promo. They said Hulkamania is over and Hulkamania is dead. We then had the Natural Butch Reed versus Coco Beware. I don't recall any build at all for this one. I think it was another one that just happened to be thrown together, but whatever. Jesse, of course, said Coco Beware. The B stands for buckwheat, so there you go. And Butch Reed won with a roll through on a crossbody, plus with a grab of tights. This was short and fine, with Coco getting most of the offense in. But, like I said, they didn't have much of a story, and they really didn't get much time. There was lots of mayhem after this match, with Coco going for a cheap shot on Reed and then getting caned by Slick. And that's when Tito ran in and ripped off Slick's clothes. We had a Macho Man promo, and he said he promised to take out Steamboat for good and said, "History beckons the Macho Man." And Ricky the Dragon cut a promo, and they started playing his music during the promo. And he said, "This dragon will scorch your back. I will come away with the championship belt and see new horizons." Alright, so we had the WWF Intercontinental title match. The Macho Man Randy Savage versus Ricky the Dragon Steamboat. This is a pretty famous match in WWF history. They treat it as one of the best matches of all time, when really it wasn't, but it was pretty good. And I can definitely see why in 1987 it would have been such a big deal. Pretty good build up for this one. Savage worked Ricky Steamboat's throat earlier in '86, and he dropped a bell on him and hit all kinds of elbows and stuff. And they really played it up like Steamboat could be out forever with throat injury. George the Animal Steele and Elizabeth were out for this one. George Steele, had been infatuated with Elizabeth, but he really didn't play much of a part here. Steamboat won this one with a roll-up. I thought this was good, but not quite the all-time classic it played out to be. Like I said, I could see why it would be a big deal in '87, but in this day and age, I think it'd be a good match, but not a great one. They really rushed through there. They were pretty aggressive, and they just kept moving. I mean, it had a really fast pace to it. So, but it's Macho, and that's kind of what you get. They both took tons of bumps to the outside onto the floor, and Savage he kneed Steamboat from behind and sent him flying into the first row, which is kind of cool. And yeah, I mean, tons of big bumps, lots and lots of heat. And, it was a good match. I didn't think it was 5 stars, but I did really enjoyed it. The one other thing I really liked here was Savage worked the throat and the neck the whole time, which makes sense since that's what he injured. So that was cool. I rated this one 4 stars, and maybe a little bit begrudgingly, and maybe I'd have to see it again to really decide, but that's what we're gonna stick with now. So it was a good match, just not the super all-time classic ordeal.